A woman screams in a London delivery room. Armed guards block the door. Gunshots echo down the hallway. This baby is worth $300 million. And there are men outside who will kill to make sure it never takes its first breath. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back 6 months. To a text message that arrived at midnight. To a desperate woman with nothing to lose. To the moment Maya Chen's life became a war zone. The phone screen glowed in the darkness. Maya stared at the words, reading them over and over, hoping they'd change. Your brother, $400,000 debt. Deadline expired. Last chance. Gangnam Tower. Come alone. Her hands were shaking. 24 years old. Pre-med dropout. Student visa about to expire in 3 weeks. And now this. Marcus had been missing for 3 days. No calls. No texts. Just silence. And now she knew why. She sat on the edge of her bed in that cramped studio apartment in Seoul. Barely 300 square feet. A hot plate she wasn't supposed to have. Clothes folded in the corner because there was no closet. This was supposed to be her fresh start. Study medicine. Make something of herself. Prove everyone wrong. But medical school was expensive. She dropped out after 1 semester. Been working 3 jobs just to stay afloat. Just to keep her visa valid. Just to survive. And Marcus. Her older brother. The one who'd helped raise her when their parents died. The one who'd always protected her. Now he needed her. And she had no money. No family in Korea. No way out. She looked at the message again. Gangnam Tower. She'd passed it 1,000 times. 40 floors of gleaming glass and steel. The kind of building where people like her only entered through the service entrance. She grabbed her jacket. Her phone. Her passport, just in case. And she went. The subway was nearly empty at this hour. Maya watched her reflection in the dark window as the train rocked beneath the city. She looked tired. Scared. Young. Too young for whatever was waiting at the top of that tower. But Marcus had always been there for her. When she was 12 and their parents' car went off that bridge in the rain. When she was 16 and got suspended for fighting the girls who called her half-breed. When she was 20 and needed money for the plane ticket to Seoul. Now it was her turn. Gangnam Tower loomed above the street like a monument to wealth she'd never touch. Maya stood at the entrance, staring at her reflection in the polished glass. A security guard approached. She showed him the text. He made a call. Nodded. Gestured to the elevator. 40th floor. His eyes held something she couldn't read. Pity, maybe. Or warning. The elevator climbed in silence. Maya's stomach dropped with each passing floor. 35. 36. 37. What was she walking into? Who sent that text? Why did they want her specifically? 38. 39. 40. The doors opened. And Maya stepped into something impossible. The penthouse was split perfectly down the center. The left side was traditional Korean. Minimalist furniture. Low wooden tables. Scrolls on the walls. Earth tones. Serene. The right side was completely different. Modern. Western. Chrome and glass. Abstract art. 2 completely different worlds forced into one space. Like they were fighting for dominance. And in the center, where the 2 worlds met, sat a dying man. He was maybe 50. Maybe younger. Hard to tell. His face was gaunt. Shadows under his eyes. But his suit was immaculate. Custom tailored. Probably cost more than she'd made in the last year. He watched her with eyes that missed nothing. Sharp. Intelligent. Desperate. Sit. His English was perfect. American accent underneath the Korean inflection. Maya sat on the edge of a chair, ready to run. I'm Yi Taeyang. I control 70% of Seoul's pharmaceutical market. Worth approximately 400 billion won. That's about 300 million US dollars. He paused. I have 16 weeks to live. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. Nothing can stop it now. Maya's throat was dry. Where's my brother? Safe. For now. Yi Taeyang slid a tablet across the table. Security footage. A warehouse. Marcus tied to a chair. Blood on his face. Her hands clenched. He borrowed money from the wrong people. Got in deep. $400,000 deep. They were going to kill him. I bought his debt. Why? Because I need something from you. And this was the only way to make you listen. He leaned forward. I need a son. An heir. Someone to inherit everything I've built. I have 4 daughters. All of them hate me. All of them waiting for me to die so they can tear my empire apart. I need a son. And I need him before I'm too weak to protect him. The room tilted. Maya gripped the edge of the table. You're insane. I'm dying. There's a difference. His voice was calm. Clinical. Like he was discussing a business transaction. I've researched you thoroughly, Maya Chen. Half Chinese, half American. Born in San Francisco. Lost your parents at 12. Raised by your brother. Pre-med at UC Berkeley. Dropped out. Came to Seoul for medical school. Dropped out again. You're smart. Resourceful. And most importantly, you understand what it means to be caught between 2 worlds. He slid a photo across the table. Old. Faded. A young woman. Mixed race. Beautiful. Standing next to a Korean man in traditional clothes. My father. He married an American woman. A black American woman. Back when that was unthinkable. The family never forgave him. They made his life hell. Made my mother's life hell. I think you understand what that means. Maya stared at the photo. She did understand. Every racist comment. Every time someone asked where she was really from. Every space where she was too Chinese for white people and too American for Chinese people. Yeah. She understood. What do you want from me? Carry my child. 6 months here in Seoul under my protection. Then London. British citizenship. Full security detail. Medical care. Everything you need. When the child is born, you receive $400,000. Your brother's debt is cleared. You both walk away free. Her phone buzzed. Another video. Marcus. Still tied to that chair. A man's voice off camera. 72 hours. Then we start removing fingers. The video cut to black. Maya's vision blurred. Her breath came in short gasps. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. You're asking me to have your baby. To carry a child for 6 months. To give birth. For money. I'm asking you to save your brother's life. And yes. For money. $400,000. Plus all expenses. Plus citizenship. Plus a future. Yi Taeyang's mask slipped for just a moment. I know what I'm asking. I know how it sounds. But I'm out of time. And your brother is out of time. So I need an answer. Maya looked at the photo again. That young woman caught between worlds. She wondered if she'd been scared too. If she'd felt this same sick vertigo. I need time. You have 72 hours. The contract is here. Read it. Think about it. But understand something, Maya. If you walk out that door and don't come back, I can't help your brother. The men who hold him are not patient. They're not kind. And they've been very clear about what happens when the deadline passes. He stood. Walked to the window. Looked out over the glittering city. I'm not a good man. I've done terrible things to build what I have. But I'm trying to do one good thing before I die. One thing that matters. This child could bridge two worlds. Could be something better than me. But only if he's born. Only if he survives. The elevator ride down felt like falling. Maya stepped out into the Seoul night. The city was still alive. Neon signs. Traffic. People laughing outside restaurants. Normal life. While her life had just exploded into pieces. She walked for hours. Through Gangnam. Past the nightclubs where rich kids partied. Past the street vendors closing up. Past couples holding hands. She ended up on a bench by the Han River. Watching the lights reflect on the black water. Trying to breathe. $400,000. Marcus's life. A baby. 6 months. She pulled out her phone. Looked at her bank account. $340. Looked at her visa status. 21 days remaining. Looked at the photo of Marcus on her lock screen. The two of them at Disneyland when she was 9. Before everything fell apart. What would he tell her to do? She already knew. Whatever it takes to survive. That's what they'd always done. When the social workers wanted to split them up. When the money ran out. When the world said they didn't belong. They survived. 3 days. Maya spent them researching. Yi Taeyang was real. Business records. News articles. Photos at charity events. Half Korean, half American. Built a pharmaceutical empire from nothing. Ruthless. Brilliant. Dying. His 4 daughters were real too. Min Young, the oldest. 41. Ice cold. CEO of her own company. Soo-yun, 38. Married into another powerful family. Hygiene, 35. Artist. Rebel. Gae, the youngest. 30. Quiet. Overlooked. The money was real. The cancer was real. The danger was real. And Marcus was real. Still tied to that chair. Still bleeding. Still waiting. Maya called the only person she could trust. Derek. Marcus's best friend from college. Now working in Singapore. If I don't do this, Marcus dies. If I do this, I might die. What would you do? Silence on the line. Then Derek's voice, rough with emotion. Whatever it takes to survive. That's what you do. That's what Marcus would do for you. But Maya, be smart. Protect yourself. Don't trust anyone. She went back. Yi Taeyang was waiting in the same chair. He looked worse. Thinner. Grayer. Like death was visible now. Conditions, Maya said before she lost her nerve. I name the child. If anything happens to me, everything goes public. Every detail. And you teach me how your world works. I won't be blind. I won't be helpless. You want me to carry your heir, fine. But I need to understand what I'm protecting him from. Yi Taeyang studied her for a long moment. Then something like respect flickered in his eyes. You're tougher than you look. I've had to be. Agreed. All of it. You name the child. We document everything. Insurance. And I'll teach you. Politics. Business. The families. The syndicates. Everything. He slid the contract across. Sign at the bottom. Initial each page. Maya's hand shook as she picked up the pen. This was insane. This was dangerous. This was wrong on so many levels. But Marcus was running out of time. And she was running out of options. She signed. Her name looked small on the expensive paper. Maya Chen. Selling her body. Selling 6 months. Selling something she couldn't even name. Your brother will be released within the hour. The debt is cleared. We begin the procedure tomorrow. Procedure? IVF. In vitro fertilization. My doctor. Completely confidential. He paused. There's a car waiting. It'll take you to a safe apartment. Better than where you're staying now. You'll move in tonight. Security will watch the building. No one gets near you without my permission. That night Maya packed her few belongings into 2 suitcases. Left her studio apartment without looking back. The car took her to a building in Gangnam. 15th floor. Apartment 3 times the size of her old place. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Modern furniture. A view of the city that made her dizzy. This was her life now. This was the cage she'd chosen. Her phone rang. Marcus. Maya? Oh my God, Maya, they just let me go. They said the debt was cleared. What did you do? What happened? She closed her eyes. I fixed it. Don't ask me how. Just get on a plane. Go back to California. Stay there. I'll call you when I can. Maya, what did you do? Whatever it took. She hung up. Sat on the edge of the expensive couch. And cried. The procedure was clinical. Cold. A doctor who asked no questions. Yi Taeyang waited outside. Maya lay on the examination table, staring at the ceiling, trying not to think about what was happening. Trying not to feel. This was just biology. Just science. Just a transaction. The doctor finished. Give it 2 weeks. We'll test. Maya dressed in silence. Walked out without looking at anyone. Yi Taeyang was waiting in the car. I know this isn't easy. She didn't respond. You'll stay in the apartment. My security will watch you. You'll meet with my doctor weekly. And starting next week, we begin your education. Politics. Business. The families. You wanted to understand this world. I'll show you everything. The next 2 weeks were the longest of Maya's life. She barely slept. Barely ate. Just paced the apartment, watching the city, feeling like she was waiting for a bomb to explode. What if it didn't work? What if she'd done this for nothing? What if it did work? What if there was really a baby growing inside her? Day 14. The doctor came to the apartment. Drew blood. Ran tests. Maya sat on the couch, hands clenched, barely breathing. The doctor looked at the results. Looked at her. Smiled. Congratulations. You're pregnant. The world stopped. Maya heard the words but couldn't process them. Pregnant. There was a baby inside her. A real baby. Not a concept. Not a deal. A life. Her hands moved to her stomach instinctively. Protective. Terrified. She called Yi Taeyang. It worked. Silence on the line. Then a sound like a breath he'd been holding for years finally released. Thank you. His voice broke. Thank you, Maya. When she hung up, she went to the bathroom. Stared at herself in the mirror. Still looked the same. But everything was different now. She wasn't just Maya Chen anymore. She was carrying a child. A boy, probably. An heir to an empire. A target. She pressed her hands to her flat stomach. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. But I'll protect you. I promise. Whatever happens, I'll protect you. The education began the next week. Yi Taeyang brought her to his office. Showed her the empire. The pharmaceutical companies. The distribution networks. The warehouses. The money. So much money it made her head spin. This is what he'll inherit. But it's not just business. Seoul is controlled by 3 major crime families. The Kyeonsa network. That's mine. The Gumiho syndicate. They control the west side. And the Yongwang. The Dragon Kings. They control the ports. We exist in balance. We fight over territory but we don't destroy each other because total war means everyone loses. He pulled up photos. Faces. Names. These are the key players. Memorize them. Learn their relationships. Their grudges. Their alliances. Because when I'm gone, they'll all be watching your son. Waiting to see if he's strong enough to hold what I've built. Maya studied the faces. Memorized the names. Asked questions. She was good at this. Turns out all those years of pre-med had taught her how to absorb information fast. How to see patterns. How to think strategically. Your daughters, she said carefully. How much do they know? Nothing. Yet. But they'll find out. They have spies everywhere. Minyoung especially. She's been waiting for me to die since she was 18. When she finds out about you, about the baby, she'll see it as a threat. She'll try to eliminate you. He said it calmly. Like he was discussing the weather. That's why you need to understand this world. You need to know who to trust. Who to fear. How to survive. At 8 weeks, Maya's body started changing. Morning sickness hit like a train. She spent hours over the toilet. Lost weight she couldn't afford to lose. The doctor came twice a week now. Monitored everything. Gave her supplements. Told her to rest. But rest was impossible. Because Yi Taeyang was right. People were watching. She noticed them. The cars that followed when security drove her to appointments. The people who stared too long at the grocery store. The feeling of eyes on her constantly. She was being watched. Evaluated. Someone knew. Or suspected. She told Yi Taeyang. He nodded grimly. Minyoung. She's always been the smartest. She knows something's different. Knows I'm planning something. We need to be careful. At 10 weeks, everything shattered. Maya was in the apartment. Reading about syndicate politics. Trying to keep her dinner down. There was a knock at the door. Security should have stopped anyone. But when she looked through the peephole, she saw a woman. Elegant. Beautiful. Cold as ice. Minyoung. Maya's heart hammered. She could not answer. Could pretend she wasn't home. But Minyoung knocked again. I know you're in there, Maya Chen. We need to talk. Just you and me. Woman to woman. Against every instinct, Maya opened the door. Minyoung swept inside like she owned the place. Looked around with barely disguised contempt. Nice apartment. My father's paying for this, I assume. What do you want? Min-young turned. Her eyes were sharp. Calculating. I want to know what you are. My father says you're a medical consultant. Helping with his treatment. But I've checked. You're not a doctor. You dropped out of medical school. Twice. So what are you really? Maya said nothing. And you're living in a luxury apartment in Gangnam. Security detail. Private doctor visits. My father doesn't do that for consultants. Min-young stepped closer. What are you to him? That's between him and me. Wrong answer. Min-young's eyes dropped. To Maya's stomach. To the slight swell that was just starting to show. To Maya's hand that instinctively moved to cover it. Protective. Damning. The silence stretched like glass about to break. No. Min-young's voice was barely a whisper. Tell me you're not carrying his child. Tell me he didn't do this. Maya's silence was confirmation. Min-young's face went white. Then red. Then something cold and terrible. You stupid girl. You signed your death warrant. He has weeks left. Maybe a month if he's lucky. When he's gone, you're just an outsider with a problem we can erase. Do you understand? You're carrying a bastard that threatens everything my sisters and I have worked for. Everything we deserve. She moved to the door. Stopped. Looked back. Leave now. While you still can. Take whatever money he's given you and disappear. Because if you're still here when he dies, I will erase you. And your baby. And no one will ever find the bodies. The door slammed. Maya stood frozen. Hand on her stomach. Heart hammering. She'd been so stupid. So naive. She'd thought she could do this. Carry a baby. Get the money. Walk away. But she'd stepped into a war. And now she was the primary target. She called Yi Taeyang. Told him everything. He was silent for a long moment. I knew this would happen. Hoped we'd have more time. But Min-young has always been too smart for her own good. His voice hardened. We move up the timeline. I'm calling an assembly. All the key players. The old guard who served my father. The business partners. The allies. And my daughters. I'm announcing the succession publicly. Making it official. It's the only way to protect you. That'll make me more of a target. Yes. But it'll also make it harder to kill you quietly. Public knowledge means public scrutiny. They'll have to be more careful. He paused. Maya, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She thought about Min-young's eyes. About the threat. About the baby growing inside her. Do I have a choice? No. Not anymore. The assembly was set for 16 weeks. When the pregnancy would be impossible to hide. When Maya would be visibly, undeniably carrying Yi Taeyang's heir. She had 6 days. 6 days to prepare. 6 days before her life became public. 6 days before the war really started. She spent them training. Self-defense modified for pregnancy. How to fall without hurting the baby. Pressure points. Escape routes. Yi Taeyang's head of security, Kim Jun-seo, trained her personally. He was 45. Loyal. Had served Yi Taeyang for 20 years. You need to be able to protect yourself. And the child. When things go wrong, and they will go wrong, you need to survive long enough for help to arrive. Maya learned fast. Fear was a good teacher. Jun-seo watched her with something like approval. You're stronger than you look. Good. You'll need that. She also kept studying. The families. The grudges. The alliances. The businesses fronting criminal operations. The politicians on various payrolls. The complex web of power that controlled Seoul. Yi Taeyang was right. This was bigger than just business. This was a kingdom. And kingdoms always had succession wars. The night before the assembly, Maya couldn't sleep. She stood at the window, watching the city lights, one hand on her belly. She could feel the baby now. Small flutters. Like butterflies. Like hope. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry I brought you into this. But I'll fight for you. I promise. I'll fight for you until my last breath." Behind her, Yi Taeyang's voice. "You really mean that?" She turned. He was in the doorway. Looked like death walking. But his eyes were clear. "I wasn't sure. When we started this. If you'd bond with him. If you'd see him as real or just a transaction. But you do. You love him already. He's innocent. Whatever sins we've committed, he's innocent. He won't stay innocent. Not in this world. Then we change the world." Maya turned back to the window. "Or we give him the tools to survive it. That's all we can do." The assembly was held in a traditional Korean hall. Massive. Beautiful. Intimidating. 50 people arrived. Business partners. Allied families. The old guard who'd served Yi Taeyang's father. And his 4 daughters. Maya wore a traditional Korean hanbok modified for pregnancy. Deep blue silk. The fabric draped carefully to show, not hide, her belly. She was 16 weeks pregnant. Visible. Undeniable. The statement was clear. She walked in beside Yi Taeyang. Every eye turned to her. She felt the weight of their stares. Judgmental. Curious. Hostile. Especially from Min-young and her sisters. They sat together. A united front. Already knowing what was coming. Already planning her death. Yi Taeyang stood at the head of the room. His voice was weak but steady. "I've called you here because I'm dying. You all know this. Pancreatic cancer. I have weeks left. Maybe less. But I won't die without securing the future." He gestured to Maya. She stepped forward. Hands instinctively protective on her belly. "This is Maya Chen. She carries my son. My heir. In 5 months, he will be born. And when he comes of age, he will inherit everything. The Kiansa network. The businesses. The alliances. Everything I've built." The room exploded. Business partners shouting questions. The old guard murmuring in Korean. And the daughters. Min-young shot to her feet. "This is insane. She's not even Korean. You're giving our birthright to some American's bastard child?" "I'm half American. My father was American. This child is my blood. He's half Korean. Half American. Just like me. The succession stands." Soo-yoon stood next, voice shaking with rage. "We've worked our entire lives for this. Built our own empires waiting for what's rightfully ours. And you're giving it to a child that isn't even born yet? To a woman we don't know? This is betrayal. No. This is survival. You want the empire? You'd tear it apart in 6 months. You'd go to war with each other over scraps. This child represents something different. Something that could last." Yi Taeyang's voice hardened. "The decision is made. The succession is sealed. Anyone who threatens Maya or the child answers to me. And when I'm gone, they answer to everyone in this room who's sworn to protect him. Hygiene, the artist, just shook her head. Laughed bitterly. This is your legacy. Chaos. Betrayal. You never cared about us. About your daughters. About anything but your empire. I cared. I failed. But I won't fail him. Yi Taeyang looked at each daughter. At Gae last. The youngest. The quiet one. She hadn't said anything. Just looked at Maya with something complex. Not quite hate. Not quite acceptance. This is final. That's when the windows exploded. Glass everywhere. Smoke grenades rolling across the floor. People screaming. Diving for cover. Maya's instincts took over. She dropped behind a table, arms wrapped around her belly, protecting the baby. Through the smoke she saw figures in black. Masked. Armed. They weren't spraying bullets randomly. They were targeting specific people. The old guard. The business partners loyal to Yi Taeyang. This was a surgical strike. This was assassination. Jun Seo appeared out of nowhere. Grabbed Maya's arm. Move. Now. He dragged her toward a side exit. Behind them, gunfire. Screams. Chaos. One of the masked gunmen broke through the smoke. Aimed directly at Maya. Jun Seo saw him. And in a split second that felt like eternity, he made a choice. He stepped between Maya and the gun. The shot was deafening. Jun Seo's chest exploded red. He dropped to his knees. Looked at Maya with fading eyes. Go. Protect him. Then he fell. Guards appeared. Returned fire. The gunman retreated. Someone grabbed Maya. Dragged her through the exit. Down a service corridor. Into a car. She was in shock. Covered in Jun Seo's blood. Hands still wrapped around her belly. The baby was moving. Kicking. Alive. Is he okay? She kept asking. Is the baby okay? The guard driving didn't answer. Just drove. Fast. Through Seoul streets. Away from the carnage. They ended up in an underground safe house. Concrete walls. Minimal furniture. 8 people total. Maya. Yi Taeyang. 6 guards. That was all that made it out. The medic examined her. Checked her vitals. Put the Doppler on her belly. The baby's heartbeat filled the room. Strong. Fast. Alive. He's fine. She's fine. The baby is fine. But she needs rest. This kind of stress isn't good. Yi Taeyang laughed. Bitter. Broken. Rest. In the middle of a war. Yes. That's likely. He looked at Maya. Really looked at her. Jun Seo is dead. 3 old guard members dead. 7 wounded. That attack was coordinated. Professional. Someone paid a lot of money for that. Who? Maya's voice was flat. Numb. The Gumiho Syndicate. Your daughter Suyun's husband's people. He said it like he was reading a weather report. Like he'd expected this. They see the baby as a threat to the balance of power. If he inherits everything, the Kyeonsa network becomes too strong. They struck first. Your daughters tried to kill me. The reality of it hit Maya like a physical blow. Your own daughters hired killers to murder me and your unborn child. She stood despite the medic's protests. Despite her shaking legs. I should never have trusted you. I should have taken the money and run. Jun Seo is dead. He died protecting me. Protecting a child he'll never meet. And for what? So your daughters can hunt us down anyway? Maya, I'm sorry. I knew there would be danger, but I didn't think they'd move this fast. You're dying. Her voice cracked. Rose. Soon I'll have nothing. No protection. No power. Just a baby and a target on my back. They'll wait until you're gone and then they'll finish what they started today. Yi Taeyang's mask finally shattered. His face crumpled. I know. I know, and it terrifies me. Jun Seo was my best friend for 20 years. He saved my life 6 times. And today he died because of a decision I made. Because I was selfish. Because I wanted something of mine to survive me. Tears ran down his face. I feel every death tonight. Every drop of blood is on my hands. And I'm terrified I've killed you both. The room was silent except for the muffled sounds of traffic far above. Maya sat down slowly. Hands on her belly. The baby kicked against her palm. Alive. Fighting. She looked at Yi Taeyang. Really looked at him. Dying. Desperate. Trying to do one good thing in a life full of terrible ones. So what do we do? Her voice was quiet now. Steady. We can't run. They'll find us. We can't fight. Not against your daughters and the Gumiho both. So what do we do? I send you away. New identity. Europe. South America. Somewhere they'll never find you. The child never knows. No. Maya's voice turned to steel. Something had shifted in her during that attack. Something had crystallized. This child deserves to know both sides of who he is. Korean. American. He deserves to know his father tried to protect him. I won't raise him in hiding. I won't raise him in fear. Then what? She looked at the concrete walls. At the guards watching her with new respect. At Yi Taeyang, broken and dying. And she smiled. Not friendly. Not kind. Something cold and calculating. They think I'm helpless. Pregnant. Weak. Foreign. Some naive girl you manipulated. Let them think that. Let them underestimate me. While I learn. While I build alliances. While I become dangerous. Yi Taeyang stared at her. You've changed. I'm pregnant and people are trying to kill me and my child. Of course I've changed. She stood. Walked to the wall. Pressed her hand against the cold concrete. Teach me everything. Every dirty trick. Every secret. Every weakness. You wanted me to understand this world? Fine. I'll understand it. And then I'll use it. Not for your empire. For my son. If you're still watching, don't click away. Because what happens next will blow your mind. The pregnant girl who walked into that meeting? She's about to become the most dangerous player in Seoul. Stay with me. Over the next weeks, Maya transformed. Not physically, though her belly grew. Not obviously, though people underestimated her less. Something internal shifted. She stopped being a victim. Stopped being a pawn. Started being a player. She met with the surviving old guard. Didn't beg for protection. Didn't plead. Made them an offer. Your loyalty was to Yi Taeyang's father. Then to him. You've watched his daughters. You know they'll destroy everything if they inherit. But this child? He can be different. Help me protect him. Teach him. When he comes of age, he'll remember who stood with his mother when everyone else wanted her dead. The old guard looked at each other. These were men in their 60s. 70s. Who'd seen everything. Done everything. They'd expected tears. Expected begging. Instead they got cold calculation. Got someone who understood power. Lee Won-shik, the eldest, spoke first. You're not what we expected. Good. Let's keep it that way. They agreed. Not out of loyalty to her. But out of love for what Yi Taeyang's father had built. Out of hope that this child might bridge the worlds that had torn their leader apart. Maya also reached out secretly to Gae, the youngest daughter. The overlooked one. They met in a park. Neutral ground. Gae looked tired. Sad. Why did you ask to meet? Because your sisters don't see your value. Minyoung treats you like a child. Suyun uses you. Hyejin ignores you. You're the youngest. The quiet one. The one they think doesn't matter. Maya leaned forward. But you're the smartest. You see everything. You understand people. And you're tired of being invisible. What do you want? Help me. Not openly. Your sisters can't know. But give me information. Warn me when they're planning something. And when my son inherits, you'll have a place. A real place. Not as the forgotten youngest daughter but as someone who matters. Gae studied her for a long time. You're manipulating me. Yes. I am. But I'm also offering you something real. A chance to finally matter. To be seen. That's not manipulation. That's opportunity. Maya stood to leave. Think about it. You know how to reach me. 3 days later, Gae sent a message. One word. Yes. Maya also trained. Every day. Self-defense modified for pregnancy. Lee Won-shik brought in experts. Older women who'd survived syndicate wars. Who taught her how to move with a growing belly. How to use people's assumptions against them. They'll see you as weak. Pregnant women are supposed to be protected. Gentle. Use that. Let them underestimate you right up until you put a knife in their throat. She studied advanced Korean until she could understand the nuances. The insults hidden in polite language. Corporate law. Syndicate politics. She read every file Yi Taeyang had on his daughters. On the Gumiho. On the Yongwang. She memorized faces. Names. Relationships. Grudges. Alliances. Every weakness. Every pressure point. She became dangerous. Yi Taeyang watched her evolution from his bed. He was confined there now. Too weak to stand. The cancer was winning. You're becoming someone I don't recognize. Maya sat beside him. 22 weeks pregnant now. Her belly prominent. The baby active. I was always this person. I just didn't know it. You gave me a reason to find out. She paused. Thank you. For that. Not for the manipulation. Not for the danger. But for showing me I could be more than I thought. Something passed between them. Not love. Never that. But understanding. Respect. Two people caught between worlds who'd found a strange kind of kinship. Yi Taeyang reached out. Touched her belly. Felt the baby kick. His eyes filled with tears. I won't meet him. No. You won't. But he'll know you. I'll make sure of it. The good and the bad. Everything. Maya covered his hand with hers. You're dying trying to give him a chance. That matters. That's worth something. He smiled. Sad. Broken. You're kinder than I deserve. At 23 weeks, Maya made a bold move. She stopped hiding. Started appearing publicly. Visibly pregnant. She attended business meetings with the old guard. Met with family representatives. Walked through Gangnam like she owned it. The message was clear: I'm not afraid. I'm not weak. Come for me if you dare. It was audacious. Dangerous. But it worked. People started talking. About the pregnant American. About Yi Taeyang's heir. About the woman who walked into Lion's Den and didn't flinch. Some respected it. Some feared it. Some wanted her dead more than ever. Min Young called a meeting with her sisters. Maya knew because Gae told her. They were planning something. Something final. But what? Then a package arrived at Maya's apartment. Hand-delivered. No return address. Inside was a photo. Marcus. Back in California. Living his life. Safe. With red crosshairs drawn over his face. The message was clear. Withdraw your claim or he dies. Maya's blood ran cold. They'd found Marcus. After everything. After clearing the debt. After sending him home. They'd found him. She called Yi Taeyang immediately. His voice was barely a whisper now. Then we end this. Before I'm too weak to execute the plan. Before they kill everyone you love. What plan? I broker a deal. With the Yongwang. The Dragon Kings. They've stayed neutral in all this. But for the right price, they'll protect you. And your son. And Marcus. Everyone. What's the price? Everything. When your son comes of age, 21 years old, he merges the Kiansa network with the Yongwang. They get all my territory. All my operations. Everything I've built. In exchange, they protect you until then. They protect him until then. Blood covenant. Witnessed by the old ways. Unbreakable. Maya's mind raced. That means your daughters get nothing. Suyun's husband's syndicate gets nothing. Minyoung's empire plans get nothing. They'll be furious. Yes. And desperate people do desperate things. That's why we do this now. Publicly. With witnesses. Make it so binding that breaking it would bring down every syndicate in Seoul. He coughed. Blood on his lips. This is my last move, Maya. My final gambit. Are you in? She thought about Marcus. About the baby kicking inside her. About Jun Seo dying to protect them. About a future where her son could live without constantly looking over his shoulder. I'm in. What do I have to do? Meet with Lee Sang-hyun. Leader of the Yongwang. Convince him. He's old school. Traditional. Doesn't trust outsiders. Doesn't trust women. You'll need to speak his language. Show him you understand the old ways. Make him believe this child will honor the covenant. The meeting was set for 2 days later. Secret location. Maya prepared carefully. Wore traditional Korean dress. Studied the old customs. The blood oaths. The way power really worked before contracts and lawyers. This was older than business. This was tribal. Primal. About honor and blood and debts that transcended death. Lee Sang-hyun was waiting in a private room in an unmarked building. 68 years old. Face like carved stone. Eyes that had seen everything. 2 bodyguards flanked him. He looked at Maya for a long moment. At her pregnant belly. At her face. You're the American. I'm Maya Chen. Half Chinese, half American. Carrying Yi Taeyang's heir. And I'm here to make a blood covenant. His eyebrow raised slightly. You know what that means? Yes. It means I bind my son's future to your syndicate. On pain of death. On pain of ancestral curse. 7 generations. Witnessed by heaven and earth and everyone we hold sacred. I understand perfectly. Lee Sang-hyun leaned back. Why would I want this deal? Yi Taeyang is dying. His empire is bleeding territory. His daughters will tear it apart. Why would I tie myself to a sinking ship? Because this isn't about Yi Taeyang. This is about the next 20 years. Right now, Seoul is balanced. 3 powers. But when Yi Taeyang dies, that balance collapses. The Kyeonsa network fragments. The Gumiho expands. You lose territory. You lose power. You spend 5 years fighting a war that weakens everyone. Maya leaned forward. Or. You protect me. You protect my son. And in 21 years, when he's of age, he hands you everything. No war. No bloodshed. You become the dominant power in Seoul through patience instead of violence. That's the smart play. And why would you honor this? Why wouldn't you take the protection and then run? Because I'm making a blood oath. The old way. Witnessed and binding. Maya pulled out a knife. Traditional. Ceremonial. Lee Won-shik had given it to her. Yi Taeyang will die soon. But his blood runs in my son. And I swear on that blood, on my life, on 7 generations, that this covenant will be honored. She drew the blade across her palm without hesitation. Let blood drip onto the contract laid between them. The room went silent. Lee Sang-hyun's eyes widened slightly. You know that oath can't be broken. Not without destroying everything you love. I know. That's why I'm making it. Because I need you to believe me. Because I need you to protect my son with everything you have. Because this is the only way any of us survive. She held out her bleeding hand. Blood covenant. Witnessed. Binding. Do we have a deal? Lee Sang-hyun studied her for what felt like eternity. Then slowly, he smiled. You have spine. Real spine. Not the fake kind. The kind that comes from surviving things that should have killed you. He took his own knife. Cut his palm. Clasped her hand. Blood mingling. Blood covenant. I will protect you and the child. You will deliver the Kyeonsa network to me when he comes of age. 21 years. Witnessed by the ancestors and the old ways. Break this covenant, and it curses 7 generations. Agreed. They sealed it. Blood on the contract. Witnessed by his guards. By the old guard members who'd come with Maya. By heaven and earth and everything sacred. It was done. Maya left the meeting with her hand bandaged and her future sealed. She'd just promised her son's inheritance to another crime family. But he'd be alive to make that choice. That was what mattered. Yi Taeyang died 3 days later. Peacefully. In his sleep. Maya was there. Holding his hand. He'd been unconscious for hours. But at the very end, his eyes opened. Focused on her. On her belly. Protect him, he whispered. Both worlds. Bridge. Then he was gone. Maya sat there for a long time. Crying for a man she'd never loved but had come to understand. A man who'd manipulated her but had also given her strength. A man who'd been terrible and desperate and human. She pressed his hand to her belly one last time. Let him feel his son kick. He'll know you, she promised. I swear it. The funeral was massive. Hundreds of people. Business partners. Syndicate members. Politicians. And his 4 daughters. Front row. Dressed in black. Crying. Or pretending to. Maya stood in back. Visibly pregnant. Visibly American. An outsider at a Korean funeral. She felt the eyes on her. The whispers. Some respectful. Some hateful. Most just curious about the woman who'd changed everything. After the funeral, Min-young approached. Her face was a mask. My father is dead. Your protection is gone. I'm giving you one chance. Leave Korea. Tonight. Take whatever money he left you and disappear. Or stay and die. Maya met her eyes. Didn't flinch. Blood covenant. With the Yongwang. Witnessed. Sealed. Your father's last move. You come for me, you go to war with the Dragon Kings. Are you ready for that? Min-young's face went white. He didn't. He did. 1 week ago. Lee Sang-hyun will protect me until my son comes of age. Then the Kyeonsa network merges with the Yongwang. You and your sisters get nothing. Your father's final gift. Maya smiled coldly. You should have been kinder to him. Maybe then he would have left you something. She walked away. Leaving Min-young standing there. Furious. Powerless. Trapped by her father's last move from beyond the grave. But Maya knew this wasn't over. Desperate people did desperate things. And Min-young was very desperate. 1 week later, Maya moved into Yongwang territory. A secure building. 24-hour guards. No one got in without Lee Sang-hyun's personal approval. She was safe. But she was also trapped. A bird in a gilded cage. Waiting for the baby to be born. Waiting for the next attack. Because there would be a next attack. She knew it in her bones. At 26 weeks, the naming ceremony was announced. Both traditions. Korean and American. Public. Witnessed by both syndicates. Lee Sang-hyun's idea. Make it official. Make it public. Make it so binding that anyone who comes for you comes for all of us. The ceremony was set for 3 weeks out. Maya prepared carefully. She'd wear traditional Korean dress with Western elements. Hanbok with modern touches. The baby would receive 2 names. One Korean. One American. Yi Taeyang. Marcus. For his heritage and for the brother who'd started all this. But as the date approached, Maya felt it. That prickle on the back of her neck. That sense of danger. Something was coming. GAE confirmed it. My sisters are planning something. For the ceremony. They won't let this happen. They've lost everything. They have nothing left to lose. What are they planning? I don't know. They won't tell me. But Maya, be careful. They're desperate. And desperate people are the most dangerous. The night before the ceremony, Maya stood at the window of her secure apartment. 29 weeks pregnant. The baby was huge now. Active. Kicking constantly. Like he knew something big was coming. She pressed her hand to her belly. Tomorrow we make this official. Tomorrow the world knows who you are. Your name. Your heritage. Your future. She paused. I'm scared. I won't lie. Something bad is coming. I can feel it. But I promise you. Whatever happens, I'll protect you. With my last breath if I have to. Behind her, Lee Won-shik spoke. You've become someone remarkable. From a scared girl to this. Yi Taeyang would be proud. Maya turned. The old man was in her doorway. He'd become something like a grandfather to her. Teaching her. Protecting her. Believing in her. Tomorrow will be dangerous. They'll make one final attempt. But we'll be ready. The Yongwang will be ready. You'll survive this. And if I don't? Then we protect the child. Raise him in your name. Teach him about his mother who fought like a tiger to give him a chance. But you'll survive. Because you're too stubborn to die. She smiled despite her fear. Thank you. For everything. For believing in me when no one else did. You earned it. Every step of the way. The ceremony was held in a massive traditional hall. 100 people. Both syndicates. Allied families. Business partners. The old guard. And Maya's brother Marcus, flown in from California with 2 friends as witnesses. When Maya saw him, she almost broke. Marcus looked good. Healthy. Safe. He hugged her carefully, mindful of her belly. Look at you. About to be a mom. Never thought I'd see the day. Marcus, if things go wrong today. Nothing's going wrong. I'm here. Your people are here. That baby's going to be fine. He looked at her seriously. I'm proud of you. For surviving this. For becoming this. You're incredible. The ceremony began. Maya wore the hanbok she'd designed. Deep blue silk with silver threads. Traditional Korean with modern Western cut. Her pregnant belly prominent. Proud. She walked to the center of the hall. 100 pairs of eyes watching. An elder placed his hands on her belly. Speaking in Korean. This child carries 2 names. 2 worlds. 2 destinies. Yi Taeyang. Marcus. Born of struggle. Born of sacrifice. Born to bridge what was torn apart. Ceremonial drums thundered. The sound shook the hall. Maya felt the baby kick in rhythm. Like he was dancing to his own introduction. The elder continued. He will inherit the legacy of his father. The strength of his mother. The hopes of 2 worlds. May he bring honor to both. May he survive what comes. May he be better than we were. Then the lights cut out. Complete darkness. For 1 heartbeat. 2. Then chaos. Screams. Gunfire. Smoke grenades rolling across the floor. People diving for cover. But Maya stood still. This time she was ready. The guards had formed a ring around her. 8 men. Yongwang's best. As the smoke cleared and emergency lights flickered on, Maya saw them. The attackers. Masked. Armed. But they were surrounded. Yongwang soldiers had been waiting. Hidden throughout the hall. This was a trap. Lee Sang-hyun had known they'd try something. Had prepared. The attackers were captured in under 2 minutes. Forced to their knees. Masks ripped off. And there, in the center, 2 familiar faces. Min-young. Soo-yun. Caught red-handed. Caught on their phones coordinating the attack. Caught on cameras that had been recording everything. Lee Sang-hyun stepped into the light. His voice was cold. Hard. Yi Taeyang predicted this. Told me his daughters would make one final desperate move. You're all on camera. Attempted murder. Covenant violation. Attacking under truce of ceremony. These are death crimes in the old ways. Min-young screamed. Struggled against the guards holding her. That child has no legitimate claim. He's a bastard. Born from manipulation and lies. Our father's empire belongs to us. We earned it. We suffered for it. And this American whore walks in and takes everything. Maya stepped forward. Spoke in perfect Korean. Loud enough for everyone to hear. I am Maya Chen. Half Chinese. Half American. I carry Marcus Yi Taeyang. Heir to 2 worlds. Your father chose me because he understood what it means to live between them. To be rejected by both. To have to fight for every inch of space. He gave this child a choice you never had. The choice to be both. To bridge instead of divide. She pulled out documentation. The donor records. The legal framework. The blood covenant. Everything. Your father didn't use his own genetic material. He used a donor. A clan member the elders approved. Because he wanted this child to be acceptable to both worlds. Korean enough. American enough. Both enough. He was trying to heal what was broken in himself. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The old guard looked at each other. This was news to them too. He was half American, Maya continued. Rejected by the clan for not being Korean enough. Rejected by Americans for not being white enough. He lived his whole life torn between worlds. And he didn't want that for his son. So he created something new. Something that could bridge. Gae stepped forward from the crowd. Tears on her face. Father protected what mattered. Even dying. Even knowing we'd hate him for it. He protected the future. She walked to Maya. Stood beside her. I stand with my cousin. With this child. With the hope that we can be better than our parents were. One by one, the old guard knelt. Acknowledged the heir. Acknowledged Maya. Acknowledged the future. Lee Sang-hyun placed his hand on Maya's shoulder. The blood covenant is sealed. Witnessed. Binding. Anyone who threatens them answers to the Yongwang. Anyone who breaks truce answers to the old ways. These women will be judged. Min-young and Soo-yoon screamed. Threatened. Promised revenge. But they were escorted out. Their attack had failed. Their claim was broken. Their father's empire was truly lost to them. Then Maya gasped. Doubled over. Pain shooting through her belly. The baby. Her voice was tight. Something's wrong. The baby's coming. Panic. The medic rushed forward. Checked her. She's in labor. Early labor. 29 weeks. We need to get her to a hospital. Now. But Korea wasn't safe. Not anymore. Too many enemies. Too many people who wanted her dead. Lee Sang-hyun made the decision. London. Get her to London. We have a facility there. Private hospital. Maximum security. Move. They evacuated her mid-contraction. Private jet. Medical team. Guards. Marcus held her hand the whole flight. You're going to be okay. The baby's going to be okay. Just breathe. Maya couldn't respond. The contractions were coming fast. Too fast. The baby wasn't supposed to come yet. Wasn't supposed to be born until January. But he was coming. Ready or not. The world rushed past. Korea. The flight. London. Cold rain. Sirens. The private hospital. They got her into the delivery room just in time. Doctors. Nurses. Equipment. Marcus on one side. A Yongwang guard on the other. Outside, they heard it. Gunfire. Shouting. One final desperate attack. The Gumiho Syndicate. Making their last move. But the guards held. Returned fire. Kept them back. Inside, Maya pushed. The pain was indescribable. Tearing her apart. But she focused on one thing. The baby. Her son. Getting him out. Getting him safe. One more push, the doctor said. Come on, Maya. One more. She screamed. Pushed with everything she had. And then. Silence. For one terrible moment. Complete silence. Then. A cry. Thin. Weak. But there. Alive. Healthy boy. Premature but strong. Good lungs. They placed him on Maya's chest. So tiny. So fragile. Barely 5 pounds. But alive. Breathing. Fighting. His eyes opened. Dark. Unfocused. Searching. She sobbed. Held him close. Marcus. For my brother. Taemin. For the choice. My son. My beautiful boy. You made it. We made it. Marcus was crying too. He's perfect. Look at him. He's absolutely perfect. Outside, the gunfire stopped. The guards had repelled the attack. It was over. Finally over. The war was done. The baby was born. They'd survived. If you've made it this far, you're invested in this story. And that matters. Because this is about more than crime and money. This is about survival. About choice. About a mother's love. Don't go anywhere, because the ending will leave you speechless. 2 years later. London. A comfortable home in a quiet neighborhood. Mix of Korean and American style. Artwork from both cultures. Furniture that blended traditions. A space that felt like both and neither. Like something new. Marcus Yi Taeyang took his first steps across the living room. Wobbly. Determined. Fell on his bottom. Laughed. Got up again. 2 years old. Bilingual. Speaking English and Korean with equal fluency. 2 cultures. 2 identities. One little boy who didn't know yet how special he was. Maya watched from the couch. 26 years old now. Looked older. Worn by everything she'd survived. But stronger too. Harder. More confident. She'd grown into her power. Into her role. Marcus visited from California often. Had moved to London actually. Couldn't stand being so far from his nephew. He worked in tech. Made good money. Helped Maya when she needed it. But mostly he just loved being an uncle. GAE sent gifts from Seoul. Visited twice a year. She'd stepped out of her sister's shadow. Started her own business. Art gallery. Legitimate. No syndicate connections. She and Maya had become real friends. Real family. Will you tell him everything? GAE asked on a video call. When he's older? About his father? About the empire? About the war? Yes. When he's ready. I'll tell him everything. The violence. The manipulation. The choices I made. The prices people paid. He deserves the truth. All of it. What will you tell him to choose? When he turns 21? When the covenant comes due? Maya watched her son play with his toys. Building blocks. Knocking them down. Laughing. So innocent. So unaware of the weight waiting for him. That legacy isn't chains. It's options. The empire is there. The blood covenant is sealed. He can claim his inheritance if he wants. Unite the syndicates. Become what his grandfather couldn't. Or. She paused. He can walk away. I've been saving money. Investing. In 16 years, he'll have options. Real options. He can choose freedom. Build something clean. Be whoever he wants. And if he asks what you want, I'll tell him I want him to be happy. To be whole. To not spend his life torn between worlds like his grandfather did. To make his own choice. Whatever that is. The doorbell rang. Lee Won-shik. Now 72. Retired from active service. But he visited often. Brought gifts for little Marcus. Taught him Korean songs. Told him stories about his heritage. He'd become the grandfather neither Maya nor the baby had. How's my boy? He scooped up Marcus. Tossed him gently in the air. Marcus shrieked with laughter. He's good. Growing. Learning. Being two. And you? How are you? Maya smiled. Tired. Real. I'm surviving. That's what I do best. They had tea. Korean style. Watched Marcus play. Talked about nothing important. Just life. Just normal things. It was peaceful. Strange. After years of violence and fear and constantly looking over her shoulder, peace felt foreign. But she was learning to embrace it. The sisters? Maya asked. What happened to them? Lee Won-shik's face darkened. Min-young and Soo-yoon were exiled. Stripped of their claims. They live in Japan now. Bitter. Broken. Hygiene disappeared. Rumor says South America. GAE is the only one who chose honor over revenge. She's doing well. You know this. And the Kiansa network? Dissolved. Without Yi Taeyang, without an heir present, it collapsed. The Yongwang absorbed most of it. The Gumiho took some pieces. But mostly it's gone. Like it never existed. He looked at Marcus. Until he turns 21. Then he can reclaim it. Rebuild it. Or let it stay dead. His choice. Do you think Lee Sang-hyun will honor the covenant? Let him choose. Lee Sang-hyun is old school. Blood oath is sacred. He'll honor it. But he'll also try to influence the boy. Everyone will. The question is what Marcus decides for himself. Maya nodded. That was the question. The only question that mattered. That night, after everyone left, Maya put Marcus to bed. Read him a story. Half in English. Half in Korean. He was already falling asleep. She tucked him in. Kissed his forehead. I love you, she whispered. More than anything in this world. You were worth it. Every moment. Every sacrifice. Every drop of blood. You were worth everything. She stood in the doorway. Watching him sleep. This tiny person who'd cost so much. Who'd changed everything. Who'd made her into someone she didn't recognize. Someone stronger. Someone dangerous. Someone capable of surviving war. And she thought about Yi Taeyang. About his final words. Both worlds. Bridge. That's what he'd wanted. Not for his son to be torn between worlds like he was. But to bridge them. To be proof that you could belong to both. Could honor both. Could choose both. In Seoul, what remained of the Kiansa network waited in fragments. Old guard members still loyal. Business interests still generating money. Territory still held by allies. All of it locked in trust until Marcus Yi Taeyang turned 21. Until he came of age. Until he made his choice. The Yongwang watched and waited. Lee Sang-hyun was patient. He'd waited 20 years to become the dominant power in Seoul. He could wait 18 more for the covenant to complete. And then the city would truly be his. Unless Marcus chose differently. Unless he reclaimed his birthright. United the old Kyeonsa network with the Yonggwang as promised. Became the bridge his grandfather had envisioned. Or unless he walked away entirely. Chose freedom over power. Peace over empire. Built something new. Something clean. Something that didn't require violence and blood and constant war. That was the beauty of choice. The legacy wasn't chains. Wasn't obligation. Was simply options. And Marcus would have every option in the world. Because Maya had fought for that. Had survived for that. Had made herself dangerous for that. Not to force her son into a predetermined future. But to give him the power to choose his own. $300 million. That's what the empire was worth. What Marcus stood to inherit. What men had killed for. What Maya had nearly died protecting. But the real inheritance wasn't money. Wasn't power. Wasn't territory or businesses or syndicate connections. The real inheritance was choice. Was freedom. Was the knowledge that he came from two worlds and belonged to both. That he could honor his grandfather's memory without being chained by it. That he could bridge cultures without being torn apart by them. That he could be fully Korean and fully American and fully himself. That was what Yi Taeyang had really been trying to give him. What Maya had been fighting to protect. Not an empire. Not wealth. But the simple, precious gift of choice. And in 18 years, Marcus Yi Taeyang would stand at a crossroads. Would learn the truth about his birth. About the war that preceded him. About the empire waiting. About the blood covenant sealed before he took his first breath. And he'd have to choose. Claim the inheritance. Unite the syndicates. Become what his grandfather couldn't. Use both worlds to create something powerful. Something lasting. Or walk away. Use the money Maya had saved to build something clean. Something legal. Something that didn't require looking over his shoulder. Live free. Live normal. Live without the weight of empire. Or find a third path. Something no one had considered. Something new. Use the connections without the violence. Use the resources without the corruption. Bridge the worlds in a way that healed instead of divided. The choice would be his. Only his. And Maya would support whatever he decided. Because that's what real love looked like. Not controlling. Not manipulating. Not forcing your child down a predetermined path. But giving them wings. Teaching them to fly. And trusting them to choose their own direction. That was the legacy. That was what had been worth fighting for. That was what $300 million really represented. Not money. Not power. But freedom. Choice. Hope. And as Maya stood in that doorway, watching her son sleep, she knew she'd done it. She'd survived. She'd fought. She'd protected. And she'd given her son something precious. Something rare. Something most people never got. The power to choose who he became. Not who his grandfather wanted. Not who the syndicates needed. Not who his mother hoped. But who he actually was. Deep down. In his bones. In his soul. That was the gift. That was the inheritance that mattered. And in 18 years, the world would find out what Marcus Yi Taeyang chose. Until then, he was just a little boy. Playing with blocks. Learning 2 languages. Growing up loved. Growing up safe. Growing up with options. That was enough. That was everything. This is where most stories end. But this story? This story is just beginning. Because the real story isn't about Maya's war. It's about Marcus's choice. And that story hasn't been written yet. It's waiting. 18 years from now. When a young man learns the truth about who he is. Where he comes from. What he's worth. And what that will cost. Will he choose power? Will he choose freedom? Will he choose something in between? We don't know yet. He doesn't know yet. But in 18 years, we'll find out. And maybe that's the most honest ending. Not wrapped up neatly. Not all questions answered. But open. Uncertain. Full of possibility. Because that's what life actually is. Not a story with a clear ending. But a series of choices. Each one opening new paths. Each one closing others. Each one shaping who we become. Maya chose survival. Then she chose to fight. Then she chose to protect. And because of those choices, her son gets to choose too. That's what blood covenant really means. Not chains binding the next generation to the sins of the last. But freedom earned through sacrifice. Power purchased with blood. Options created through survival. So if you're wondering whether this story has a happy ending, the answer is, we don't know yet. Maya survived. Marcus is safe. The immediate war is over. But the larger story? That's still unfolding. Still being written. Still waiting for a young man to make his choice. And maybe that's the most honest kind of story. The kind that doesn't pretend to have all the answers. Doesn't tie everything up neatly. Just shows you what happened. Shows you the choices that were made. And leaves you wondering what choices come next. Because that's life. That's survival. That's what it means to be caught between two worlds. You don't get easy answers. You don't get simple paths. You get choices. Hard choices. Complicated choices. Choices that cost something no matter what you pick. And you make them anyway. Because that's what it means to be human. To be alive. To matter. Maya Chen walked into Gangnam Tower with nothing. With a dying brother and impossible debt and no way out. She walked out a mother. A survivor. A warrior. Someone who'd fought a war and lived to tell about it. Someone who'd given her son the most precious gift possible. The power to choose his own destiny. And if that's not a happy ending, it's at least an honest one. It's at least real. It's at least worth something. So that's the story. Of a woman who had nothing. Who made a desperate deal. Who carried a child worth $300 million. Who survived assassination attempts and syndicate wars and her own transformation into someone dangerous. Who gave birth in a London hospital while gunshots echoed in the hallway. Who raised her son in peace after years of violence. Who gave him everything by giving him choice. That's the story. And it's not over. It's just beginning. Because the most important chapter? The one where Marcus decides who he becomes? That hasn't been written yet. And maybe that's perfect. Maybe that's exactly how it should be. Not an ending. But a beginning. Not an answer. But a question. Not certainty. But possibility. Because that's what hope looks like. That's what legacy really means. Not controlling the future. But giving the next generation the power to shape it themselves. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it kept you here for however many minutes you've been watching, then do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, stories about survival and choice and what it costs to be human, those are the stories I tell. Stories that don't flinch from darkness but don't forget hope. Stories about real people making impossible choices. Stories that matter. So subscribe. Turn on notifications. And stick around for the next one. Because there are always more stories. More choices. More people surviving things they shouldn't have to survive. And those stories deserve to be told. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying. Thanks for caring about Maya and Marcus and this strange, violent, hopeful story. Now go make your own choices. Live your own story. And remember, legacy isn't chains. It's options. And you get to decide what comes next.